All right, we are back here in our living room, and it's been a few days since this cute guy came home from all of the craziness, the whirlwind from this past weekend.
Yeah, first off, before we even get into the video, we just want to say a huge thank you to everyone that has been sending prayers and messages and kind thoughts, everything, absolutely everything. We've been reading all of the messages as they come in, and it's just overwhelming and incredible, like how just sweet you all are. Like, we cannot thank you enough.
Oh my gosh, just the amount of love from you guys, the prayers, just as Jared said, just thinking of how many of you were praying on our behalf during that really scary situation. It means so much to us. Over the past few days, we've been reading a lot of the messages, and yeah, just thank you. Thank you.
There's no question that I just feel like, Heavenly Father, He's in the details, and He knows He has a path for us that's better than we could ever imagine or anticipate. And I know that this is different and new and tough, I guess, now. But I know in the end, the grand scheme of things, it's gonna be the best.
Oh my gosh, you guys. And Jared, having that outlook, I just have to say, like, wow, because this guy has been put through the ringer, as you guys know, over the last few years, honestly. And there's even more that we've learned since we last videoed, and we will get into all of that. But yes, we, more than anything, we just want you to know that your prayers were answered. We feel so extremely grateful that Jared's here and not in the hospital or hasn't had any of those major complications, which that in itself is a miracle, and it's pretty incredible. Just knowing that and seeing that and knowing how much different this whole thing could have turned out. So
anyways, so I guess kind of just recap a little bit. In case you guys have no idea what we're talking about, we actually made a video about it that I will link down below, and it'll also be at the end of this video if you want to check it out. But yeah, I was in the hospital after an emergency endoscopy that ended up having a dilated esophagus that tore. And
so I think that was one thing that some people may have been confused about. I think some people thought maybe from the piece of food stuck in his esophagus, that's what tore it. It was actually the endoscopy when they were dilating, like stretching his esophagus to try and prevent this in the future. That's when the tore happened. So anyways, just a little clarification there. But you guys, I do have to say also that it is crazy how many people that have commented, like, have had their esophagus stretched, have some of the same issues as Jared had with swallowing food and things like that. And we'll get into that because there is a silver lining to all of this.
There's a silver lining. I wouldn't say it's necessarily
it's a lining.
I would say it's definitely not something that we were hoping for, but it's definitely nice to have clarity, and we'll get into that here in a second.
Answers for sure. I'm sure a lot of you guys have been asking, how is this guy doing? How is he feeling?
So basically, in a nutshell, you can tell I'm able to talk a little bit better now compared to when I was in the hospital. I was kind of nervous to talk, and to be honest, when I was in the hospital, I was really just trying to baby everything, like not even speak, which was kind of hard for me. But in addition to that, when I was in the hospital talking, initially it was kind of difficult. Like, I could feel the pain just from speaking, and the pain like either in my throat, like my esophagus, which for anyone who doesn't know, I was new to this. It runs from here all the way down to your chest, like down to your stomach.
Like down to your stomach. Like
so it's really long. And anyway, so I could feel it like everywhere right there, and it was uncomfortable, and it was painful, like when I would eat or drink or when I moved around. And that's really still the case now. It's not as painful, which is good because that shows signs of improvement, but it's still painful, like, to eat. Now, I was on a liquid-based diet, and now I've kind of just barely started like a soft food like based diet, so like pudding and jellos and that sort of thing I'm allowed to have now. This is what they gave us as we were leaving, as they discharged me actually, and it's just a massive essentially to-do list of like what we need to do, how we're supposed to eat, what we're supposed to watch out for.
What not to eat, because you would think like certain foods like mashed potatoes or certain things like that, like that would be considered a soft food, but that's actually on the do not eat list.
Reason being is because it's sticky.
Because it's sticky and it could stick to where like the tear is.
Yeah.
And so anyways,
another thing that I thought for sure would be on there, maybe for soft food, was like rice, because it's really small, but it's a no-no.
That's a big no-no. So that's been a big adjustment, is just like, I mean, being kind of paranoid on, okay, is this okay to eat? Making sure Jared obviously is getting nutrients, but obviously we don't want anything to happen to that tear. So we've just been a little, I'd say, hypersensitive with that. This actually doesn't give a whole lot of information on after a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like, okay, well, what can he do? What can he do? Yeah. So we actually have a follow-up appointment, which we're so grateful for.
Yeah, it's coming up.
Like the doctor's office that did the operation.
Because this only really has us like up for a couple more days, and then after that, like it's kind of like we have no clue what we're supposed to do
with that. So that's been a little unsettling. Like, can he, like, he went outside for the first time last night. We did a little walk with Finn.
Yeah.
He was stretching a little bit.
Yeah.
And so we're definitely, they said not to do any like heavy
lifting or
things like that.
Working out type stuff. So
anything that to cause strain, you know, on this area apparently. So.
And I'll have to definitely get better at like figuring out like how that is, because some days I feel like I'm able to move around. I forget that I have this, and then there's other days it's just kind of like, oh yeah, I'm actually not feeling great.
Well, you guys, that's the scary part. This is just like, you know, a lot of times you can see injuries. You kind of know, like, oh yes, this cut is healing. Like, you know, it looks good, whatever it is. But with this, it's like it's inside of you, and it's like the only way you know that is by putting a camera down there, or if you're showing signs that something is definitely wrong. So
on the exterior of your body,
so like fever, chills, those are really big signs that we've been told to watch out for in case stuff is leaking out of his esophagus where that tear is, if that makes sense. So it's definitely been a little nerve-wracking to say the least, especially that first night home. I was like, are you okay? Like every little thing is, you know what I mean? You're assuming the worst, and you're not at the hospital anymore, and it's just like. Yeah,
when Brittany like wasn't allowed to stay, like the visiting hours were over, I was shocked because I thought for sure you're gonna be allowed to stay.
Well, even then, I'm talking about your first night back home though.
Oh yeah.
That night in the hospital. I mean, you guys saw it. That was.
Yeah, the first night back home was pretty kind of terrifying because I was kind of semi hoping you'd stay at the hospital one more night.
Yeah.
But they told us several times you're ready to be discharged.
Yeah, so anyways, you guys, it's been definitely a learning curve, but he is overall doing very good. Like we are so grateful for that.
Sleeping has been difficult. I'm like a side sleeper, sometimes I'm a stomach sleeper, but I never sleep on my back, and I have to sleep on my back right now, and that's really hard.
Yeah.
I am not sleeping pretty much at all.
And the food wise, like as Jared mentioned, lots of like jellos and yogurts, soups and different things like that he is good to have. We can slowly start doing some other soft food. All the food has to be cut down super tiny. Yeah. And
I will say this, I think the biggest and hardest thing is that even turning my head, like it's sore here, you guys, like this whole thing. And so for me to like turn my head, I kind of have to turn my whole body a little bit because it's almost like I have a kink in my neck, but I don't. It's in my esophagus.
Well, it's very inflamed. So I think that kind of brings us to the next piece. So I don't even know if we mentioned this or not in our video, I can't remember, but during the endoscopy, they actually took a biopsy of Jared's esophagus tissue, testing for something called, it's very hard to pronounce.
We think it's called eosinophilic esophagitis.
Is how you pronounce it.
Yeah,
that is
I think so.
A tongue twister, hence why it's called EOE. EOE.
Yeah.
And you guys, this is just crazy. This is why.
So this is what we were talking about previously, is that the silver lining. I don't know if it's really a silver lining, but it's nice to have closure.
Yes, but basically, Jared, we've mentioned it a few times in our videos before, how Jared has had trouble in the past swallowing foods,
Yeah.
lots of digestive stuff. You guys, over the last few months, we've been to so many doctors.
Yeah.
We haven't even vlogged a ton of it just because, you know, he hasn't wanted to share a lot of that, but.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much, you know, if you guys have been with us for a little while, you guys know last month we didn't really video a whole lot. We were going through a lot of stuff, much of it with infertility, but a lot of it was actually due to this, like me just constantly going into the hospital for different doctors and different doctor visits and just trying to figure out what was going wrong.
And just not feeling well at all. And in the past, he's been to like 2 years ago, he went to an allergist. He saw a GI and he had all the tests done with like what you're allergic to. It came back as just like peanuts. I think we did vlog about that, and we were so shocked because he always eats peanut butter. And we were like, he doesn't have any reactions to that. And then about 2 months ago, he was eating a dip I made, and he had that allergic reaction where his throat was closing, if you remember that as well.
Yeah, it was lentils.
Oh, lentils. That's right. That's right. So that was like an immediate thing. So anyways, it's just been all over the board. And so you guys, those results came in last night.
Yeah, last night we got that.
It was positive for this disease called EOE. And I pulled up the definition of it because we're just learning all about it. And so if you know about it, I think we would love for you to comment down below and tell us any like tips or anything like that, because we could definitely use all of that. But basically, so this is the definition for the Mayo Clinic. It says it is a chronic immune system disease. So it's an autoimmune system disease. With this type of disease, a white blood cell called eosinophil build up in the lining of the tube that connects your mouth to your stomach, so your esophagus. This buildup, which is a reaction to foods, allergens, or acid reflux, can inflame or injure your esophagus tissue. Damaged esophageal tissue can lead to difficulty swallowing or cause food to get stuck when you swallow. So basically,
that's literally me in a nutshell.
That has been Jared for as long as I've known him. He's dealt with this.
I've had that for as long as I can remember. It's the earliest I can remember is actually in college, so I don't know if I had it, you know, in high school or growing up, but I can definitely remember it in college.
So basically, but he's never thought it was like a big deal, because it just happens occasionally, and like something will get stuck in his throat. As we mentioned earlier, all the symptoms that happen, he can't swallow saliva, he throws up, but then it will just like go down and he's like 100% good. Up
until like now, it's always gone down. Always.
And we just thought maybe it is something with his esophagus, like some people have a smaller esophagus. We've heard that's common to be stretched, so we were thinking about getting it stretched. But it turns out, you guys, it's this EOE.
It's a disease,
and it's this immune disease that he has. And so basically these white blood cells, it's a reaction to whatever's triggering it. So from what we know, that's the tricky part with this, is it's really difficult to figure out what triggers it, because it can be different foods, it can be stuff in the air, it can also be something with acid reflux, so there's some medicines that can help with it, but basically it's like figuring out what is the cause of his
and
EOE.
What we've learned and researched, we've only been researching it since the last night, but what we've learned in research, it's really hard to figure out, and it's very new. It was only discovered like back in the 90s.
In the 90s, and it's kind of like changing still. I did want to read this part. It said, EOE isn't a typical food allergy, acid reflux disease, heartburn, etc. EOE symptoms can be similar to these more common conditions. That's why it's often mistaken for something else. With allergies, reactions like sneezing or hives, or like when he had that reaction and his throat started closing right away, they happen right away. But with EOE, symptoms can be delayed for days. This makes it harder to know what's triggering your symptoms. Plus, many people with EOE also have food or medicine allergies or asthma, which share overlapping symptoms. So, because a while back we thought Jared had something called GERD as well. So, you guys, it's just crazy that it sounds like a lot of his things that have been happening
are due to something that can be not prevented. Well, they can be prevented, but it can't be treated. It's not curable. It's a lifelong thing.
So it's just a matter of like figuring out what's causing that. What's crazy is it literally attacks your esophagus, causing it to be inflamed. It restricts, and that's why a lot of the time when that happens and it's like built up, that's why then something he swallows, if it's like dry or big or whatever it gets caught easier than like an average, you know, person with an average size esophagus. If that makes sense. That's
basically it in a nutshell.
That's what we know so far, you guys. So I'm sure there's going to be so many components to this.
Yeah, and I'm hoping like crazy, you know, with that follow-up visit, we're going to learn more, or at least have some type of direction of what to do.
Yeah, because that's another thing. I was like, okay, well, here he is eating only certain like soft foods, but most of those foods contain a lot of, I guess there's like 6 main categories, like wheat,
and they're big.
Milk, eggs, soy. So pretty much like all the food groups are things you have to eliminate and then slowly add back in.
Yeah, and we haven't, you know, obviously even come close to that. Right now we're just trying to get me nutrients. So.
But it does make me nervous because I'm like, okay, well, if I'm giving him milk and if that's causing the inflammation, like, is that going to make it worse as he's trying to heal? So
so right now we're trying our best to abide by this new EOE guidelines for as much as we know.
So we
while also trying to just get food in me.
Yes, because I'm like, okay, well, he was eating yogurt and pudding, and like, so now we're gonna.
And those Ensure, the like nutritional drinks, and they have milk in them, and so it's like, okay, like.
But we don't know if that's the cause of Jared. So anyways, there's obviously we can't just stop. We have to figure it out. We need to talk to the doctor.
This is so new and unknown to us. We just have no clue what we're doing.
But
and I don't know if the doctor will be able to give us more information on the follow-up visit. I think that I might have to go to like an allergist or some type of specialist for that. But I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, you guys. So it was kind of, as Jared said, like, you never want to hear that you have some rare disease, right? Like, I feel like we've gone through that path already.
I already got one. I got 2.
Jared's just a rare gem, you guys, and you know what? That's okay. He's so strong. He's had the best attitude through all of this.
I've tried to,
And I mean, he's my hero, that is for sure, because he's dealing with a lot right now, and he's just Jared, and he's so sweet and so happy. And anyways, I told him I'm not gonna cry in this video, but it's just hard to see your loved ones sometimes go through medical things, and you just don't want to see him hurt, you know? And a big part for me is, I think, why another thing like this on top of everything else? I mean, you guys that have been here for a while know the whole infertility piece of our life right now, and that's huge. So to add all this on top of it's just been kind of a lot. And we're just being super real with you guys, obviously. We try not to share a lot of that. We want to keep our channel positive and uplifting, because everyone goes through hard things in life. But we also want to keep it real, and this is a real life situation.
And so kind of just sharing all of this is that we really want anyone out there that is maybe experiencing the same symptoms that I was experiencing, check out EOE. Go get yourself tested and see if that's possibly what's causing your symptoms.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it gets not diagnosed all the time, and people think maybe they just have one of these other things or conditions. I guess the only way you can get diagnosed with it is for them to do a biopsy during an endoscopy.
I'm hoping like crazy that we can get a little bit more answers moving forward and kind of just be able to, I don't know what the word is, maintain it, to make sure that it calms down in the future. But yeah, I just want to be able to say again that if you're experiencing any symptoms at all, like I've been experiencing, like definitely get yourself checked out sooner rather than later, because you don't want to go through what I went through. That just stinks.
Yes, like Jared said, we are so grateful that we have answers. Obviously, it feels...
it's kind of like with our infertility. It's like we finally got answers.
Now we just have to work through it and figure out what the future looks like with it.
The closure is nice.
Yes, that's for sure. Obviously, you guys, our number one thing right now is making sure that tear is healing properly and looks good. Just take it really slow, babying it. Yes. One step at a time, one minor step at a time. Kind of slowing down a little bit with everything. Obviously, a lot of you guys know we have that Europe trip that we are so excited for. Yeah, that'll be fun. And we're just hoping like crazy that we can still go on that and enjoy that. It's something we've really been looking forward to, but obviously Jared's health is by far number one most important, so we want to make sure he's all good and ready to put on that white outfit for the cruise.
That'll be fun. I'm looking forward to that. Oh guys, that is basically it in a nutshell. And so we're just gonna keep resting and relaxing. Honestly, that's really all I feel up for. I can't really move super well. Like if I move too much, I feel like I'm in pain. I can't really lift anything, can't go to the gym. So just kind of gonna rest, relax as much as I can, not sleep in the bed. So trying to get some rest in as much as I can.
I know, thank you for being patient, obviously.
Oh, it means the world to us. And just honestly, like when I'm not able to sleep, I just read your guys' messages and it means so much, so much.
Yeah, you guys are amazing. We love our YouTube family.
Yeah.
Again, if you happen to deal with EOE or know of someone and have any helpful tips or anything like that, I think
drop them below.
Drop them below. I think it'll be really neat to kind of see that community come together, just like when we went through, you know, azoospermia and all of that, and had never heard of that, but now look at where we're at with that. It's just kind of crazy how you know you learn and grow from everything. So.
Well guys, we're gonna cut it off here because I'm getting a little tired.
Yeah, we're gonna let this guy rest. We have our doctor appointment coming up, so we will let you know when we know on that and figure that out. And you guys, we love you. Thank you again for all the prayers, and we'll see you all next time.
See you guys, love you. Bye.